I hear the guards at the door. Captain Orleans, if you're listening to this, you're already too late. The bomb I placed at the base will ignite whatever it is you're sucking up from the seafloor, and it will travel all the way up to the Arkham. Your only chance now is to abandon ship. This is for Miranda.
Where am I? Release. Where's the release?
Manual release armed. Fasten seatbelts.
Tonight, Silence and Starsong magazine sends you on a voyage of high strangeness. From the darkness under your bed to the thrones of unknown worlds. You're listening to SNS Radio.
This document is exclusive property of yada yada yada. Burn after reading. Auditor Thorne. We lost contact with the floating oil and refinery vessel Arkham 2 weeks ago. Due to proprietary stealth technology, the vessel is invisible to satellite imagery. We have no knowledge of the ship's condition. It is likely that the command crew, as well as the terrorist Howard Carter, have been killed in the privateer attack. You are tasked with securing and assessing the Arkham before the U.S. Navy Task Force recovers her. If any of the command crew are still alive, you are to investigate and relieve if necessary. No member of the Arkham is permitted to deboard until company executives have approved. Enter.
Auditor Thorne, here is a survivor we picked up from the Arkham.
Thank you. Wait outside. You were fortunate we located your lifeboat before you ran out of rations. What can you tell me about the condition of the Arkham?
I'm not going back there, and I'm not answering any more of your questions.
Do you know who I am? I'm an auditor for Exxon-Pacific. I investigate and fix any and all compliance issues. I am the blank check, and you are in my office. The terrorist Howard Carter mentioned you by name, even helped you escape. In the absence of Carter himself, the company will use any of his accomplices to make an example of.
Accomplice? I barely knew him at all. He saved me from Captain Orleans and that thing.
Mr. Carter's transmission stated that you were drugged. So how do you know what really happened?
I just remember a few things. There was a lot of fire and alarms. I heard guns going off. My last look at the Arkham I saw 2 weeks ago, it was listing. The bridge tower was on fire and privateers were retreating. The next morning, all I could see was the ocean. It must have sank.
The FLOR Arkham represents a $50 billion investment. If she sank, then I need sonar readings of her location. If she's still afloat, then I need to be there.
Auditor Thorne, please contact the bridge.
Thorne here.
Sir, one of our drones has spotted the Arkham, drifting south. Judging by the distance from her last known, we'll be in flight range in 15.
Have the helicopter prepped. Twisted pipes and bloodstains littered the deck below us, but there was not a single body. Someone had cleaned the place up, but no one was there to welcome us. My first step was to find Captain Orleans and get some answers. Human resources is in the bridge tower, but that tower sustained a lot of damage. We'll head to the computer core down on deck 5. I had met people like Veronica Phillips before. She was one of the sheeple that populated a lot of the deep ocean rigs. Why would Carter spare her? Sure, she was beautiful. Why was she the last straw for Carter? unless it had something more to do with the woman that had been sacrificed, Miranda Coleman. He did this all out of guilt. But my whole job was to avoid guilt, the company's guilt, at any cost. Guilt had motivated Carter to save a life, but guilt motivated the company to take life, something I had done quite often. I found myself thinking about that a lot. I don't know how, but someone found a way to lock the computer out from any non-crew member. Even my auditor code won't let me sign in. Veronica, use your WET access in. Thank you. Now let's locate the good captain's tracker. Okay, reactor room. That's probably where he's rerouted the ship's controls to. Mrs. Phillips, you're staying here.
You're just going to leave me here?
I'll lock the door. My name is Jack Thorne, and I represent Exxon-Pacific. I need to speak with Captain Orleans. The company has a message for him.
I am Captain Orleans. Forgive us, Mr. Thorne. We thought you were a mutineer. And just to be sure, show me your ID.
Here, how many mutineers are there?
Less and less every day. But many heard and believed Carter's story. Let's get back to our base of operations in the reactor room.
Captain Orleans led me into the reactor room, which towered several decks above us, glowing a dim and sickly blue. My next goal was to find out if I needed to relieve Captain Orleans of command. First, I needed to get some things clear without his men present. We stepped into his makeshift quarters.
Mr. Thorne, I am glad you arrived when you did. We need more company support to finish taking care of these mutineers. Without their harassment, I'm certain I could have the Arkham fully operational in a month.
Captain, where are the other company executives? I should speak to all of you.
They are indisposed.
I see. And the, entity?
I'm sure it was severely injured, if not killed outright. Thankfully, we had a contingency plan.
Contingency?
I'd taken several cuttings and planted them in this reactor room.
Cuttings?
Yes, these creatures need not just cold temperatures, but something to graft onto.
Captain, the privateer attack must be investigated by the United States Navy. The company is legally obligated, once known, to inform them of our position. It won't be long before a task force is en route to rescue you. What do you think they will do when they discover those creatures gestating here in the reactor room?
What would you have me do, Auditor?
Terminate the specimens.
Come with me.
He led me across the reactor room, over to the coolant tanks, one of which had an open hatch. I kept my hand close to my holster. He motioned me to look into the open hatch. I looked in to find the executives for Burton Hughes and Hansung Heavy Industries, sitting in the coolant tanks, along with two others I didn't recognize. I had never seen the horror that kept the lights on. It was easier that way. The one man I was looking at had ice blue veins and pale white skin. His face was bursting with pustules that looked similar to the suckers on a tentacle. The arms were regressing into something like a fin. The hands were webbed close together. The horrible rotten fish smell and that sight made me want to vomit. I suddenly wished now that Howard Carter had succeeded.
As you can see, it's still young. The two executives here are not technically alive, at least in the way we would describe. The coiled ones need the water to be very cold in order to live. We had to shut the reactor down to minimum output. The rest of the coolant tanks above and around us are filled with our injured, our sacrificed. Soon, they'll be reborn.
Flush them. It's too dangerous.
I I am their nursemaid. Keep your weapon where it is, thank you. Here, Auditor. You can hear their song. Take the Auditor's hand.
At gunpoint, they grabbed my hand and lowered it into the tank where my fingers grazed the cold ooze of one of the pustules. A string of images flashed in my eyes before I blacked out.
You've heard their song. You've touched the deep one, albeit an infant sapling. But one day, life as big as Australia. Can you really destroy that?
I want them off this ship. I don't care what you do with them.
We'll have to power down the reactor, switch over to diesel backups. It'll take us an hour or two to prep everything.
See to it. I need to report, or another team will be sent. I'll return shortly. Orleans really was worshipping those things. His loyalty was to them, not the company. That was a breach of contract. The sacrifice was just a transaction. Give a body, get the biogenic oil. The company, and therefore I, saw it as a business agreement, not some kind of blood covenant. I had touched one of them, also technically a breach of contract. I had heard its song. I wondered if Orleans heard that all the time, if he saw what I had seen every time he closed his eyes. Since sociopaths were the only ones that could sacrifice their fellow man without batting an eye, our psych tests were designed to staff senior positions with them. Still, there was always a couple that snapped, like Orleans.
Stop him!
Drop your weapons.
I was surrounded. They were dressed differently. I could only hope that these might be the mutineers.
I met most of the people on this damn ship. Usually the people Orleans shoots at are mine. I don't recognize you.
Jack Thorne, auditor for Exxon-Pacific. And you?
Howard Carter.
Howard? You're alive? How?
Veronica. Just barely. I don't remember what happened after the guards broke down the door. Some of the crew had recovered me. They had heard my transmission. We've been fighting Captain Orleans and his cronies ever since. Why are you here?
He brought me back here. He didn't want any witnesses to escape this hell.
That's the company for you. But I'll tell you now, the man who went into that reactor room is not the same man who came out.
What do you mean?
I can see it in your eyes. You'll never be the same. He made you touch it, didn't he? You need to tell me what you saw.
Writhing limbs as big as skyscrapers. Orleans dressed in a robe, leading millions of people in bowing and chanting. I saw thousands of grafted ones, swimming like tadpoles in packs of ice as for miles. I saw a frozen world.
What does it all mean?
There's a war coming.
The company, all the companies are being played. Those creatures are using us.
We have to kill those things in the reactor room.
Why don't we just get out of here?
We've tried. Orleans will destroy any lifeboat. You were the only one to make it off. I'm sure he only allowed Thorne to land in hopes of recruiting him.
Carter, let's talk, you and me. How many men do you have?
There are 2,000 of us, but only a few hundred men.
How many women?
Doesn't matter. They're not troops.
We need to use every asset.
We are, but the women are not combatants.
They don't have to be. They just have to draw fire.
I won't use people like that. Not again.
You're motivated by your guilt for that girl Miranda, right? That's why you saved Veronica? That made you feel just a little better about watching her die senselessly. Guilt is just about making yourself feel better. So stop pretending you care and let's do what needs to be done.
I know people like you. In fact, I used to be someone like you. If we're all so selfish, why should we feel guilt at all? My guilt drove me to do something, to help others. If I had been selfish, then you wouldn't be here. And I'd still be sacrificing people day after day in the slaughterhouse. And growing more sick and twisted with each thrust of my knife.
He was right that if he hadn't done what he did, I would not have known that the creatures were planning to enslave us all. All right, you're in charge. We need to assault the reactor room within the hour.
Orleans doesn't have many men left. We'll hit all his positions at once. One last assault. My best men, as well as you and I, will hit the reactor room. I'm moving Veronica to the infirmary. They could use another hand down there. We'll be sending a lot of wounded back.
Agreed.
Let's go.
Our team made it to the reactor room without incident, but it was too quiet. Carter and I swung our heads into the room. I didn't see anyone. I held my breath and stepped in. As soon as I stepped, my feet were soaked. There was water all over the floor. Carter and his men followed me in. Orleans isn't here. What's with all this water? Did he open a scuttle hatch or something?
Decades ago, at the peak of the oil crisis, we dug deeper. We cracked something, a shield that they had been sleeping under. The ancients called it Tartarus. Fitting, wouldn't you say? That was when they took notice of us. They first made contact with a drill team in Antarctica. They were driven underground by the flood all those millennia ago. And now that they've been freed, man's dominion is at an end. All you can hope for is to be a servant in this brave new world. Because if you're not a servant, you're a sacrifice.
We waded through the ankle-high water, and there was no sign of Orleans or his men. We were closing in on the coolant tanks. Descending some steps, I realized the water was now just below my waist. The water was freezing. One of Carter's men was pulled under. I pointed my flashlight into the murky water. The rafts of the creatures were now swimming towards us. They moved the arms of the dead, or the near-dead men they had grown on like they were puppets. One flew out of the water and attacked. The thing had grown shark teeth along the chest of its human host. It used the teeth to latch on to one of Carter's men. It pulled him under. The spot was now covered in a mixture of dark blood and murky black ink. Ink spots oozed and spread everywhere. I spotted the wake of another creature swimming towards me. I leveled my shotgun and fired. I saw the thing bob to the surface, unmoving. I called out to the men. "Look for the wakes! The water is too shallow for them to hide."
Let them have it, boys! Use the flares!
The underwater flares ignited. I saw the thing scurry away. I managed to get to the command console. Grabbing a dead man's hand, I signed on with his WET chip and plugged in my master access code.
Reactor status unlocked. Core temperature increasing.
I could hear the screams of Captain Orleans' remaining children as they writhed in their furnaces.
Getting word that Orleans' men are in retreat everywhere.
I'm restoring the Arkham to full power. It looks like he destroyed the distress beacon transmitter. The Navy won't be able to pinpoint our location.
What is it?
We have a hull breach. Pump room, deck 0. The hatch motors won't engage.
Orleans. I'm headed there now. He's trying to sink the ship and escape.
I'm coming with you.
You're needed here. I need to finish this.
Part of me knew what Carter wanted. I decided not to stand in his way. Was that mercy or prudence?
Thorne, if any of those things escape, use the Arkham's active sonar. The noise will kill all sea life within 10 nautical miles. We can't let anything escape.
Good luck.
Godspeed.
On the security cameras, I watched him reach the pump room and step into ankle-deep water. The hatch was jammed open, and the motors were smoking. Carter was armed with the last of the flares and a harpoon gun.
Thorne, this is Carter. Come in.
This is Thorne. I read you.
If we win, if everyone finds out about this, there'll be hell to pay.
Yes.
Maybe we deserve it. Thorne, make sure Veronica makes it off. For once in your life, do something for someone else.
I read you, Carter. I saw Carter unjam the hatch and close it in behind him. I began powering up the active sonar. The security camera and mic for the pump room was still active. A tentacle shot up out of the water, grabbing him and pulling him under. The moments dragged on. I saw blood in the water, and more ink. Then Carter re-emerged with the tentacle wrapped around his torso. Captain Orleans came up out of the water, the tentacle sprouting from his back. Pustules pocked one side of his face. His cry was like a drowning man gurgling his last breaths. Carter fired the harpoon gun, piercing through Orleans' shoulder and impaling itself into a computer console. The tentacle released Carter. Orleans was slumped over. The tentacles writhed and coiled around his arms, merging with them. His head still hanging, his body began to toss itself like a puppet. It lunged at Carter, who dodged it. Carter pulled the flare out and struck it. He held it in front of him, forcing the creature to retreat. The thing pulled Orleans' body down into the water. Ink spread everywhere. The water was up to Carter's waist now. Still holding the flare, he swam over to the computer console and pulled the harpoon out. The creature reared up behind him, knocking the flare into the water. Orleans' eyes were open now, his mouth making a gurgling snarl. The tentacles coiled around Carter's whole body as he took the harpoon and thrust it up Orleans' mouth and into his brain.
Sir, our teams are reporting that Orleans' men are standing down and surrendering. A few of those freaks jumped overboard in the scramble. The Arkham is secure.
Active sonar is now ready. Please be mindful of sea life when using this device.
The sea life can go straight back to hell.
Look at all of them. There must be 50 of those things floating there.
They can be killed.
What will you do now?
That ping can be heard a long ways away. The Navy's probably already on its way.
I mean, what will you tell them?
Everything. Either we go down, or they do.
Won't they come after you?
I also have all of Captain Orleans' insane log entries. That should be enough to get us asylum. Those I care about will have to go into hiding.
Whatever comes next won't be good, will it?
No. Worst case scenario, the people at the top decide the oil is too essential and turn a blind eye and toss our bodies overboard. The best case scenario, we go to war with those things and their followers.
Wouldn't it be easier to cover it all up? The government doesn't want to know about all this. They want the oil to flow just as much as anyone else.
I hear the song. If we don't stop them soon, it'll be too late to do anything.
What happens to me?
I'll take care of you.
Why?
I promised Carter. He was a good man. As we looked out over the sea, in the distance, I saw the flashing ship lights of the Navy task force. I saw Veronica looking down into the water where those things still floated, rubbing up against the deck of the Arkham.
I'm scared.
Me too.
We hope you enjoyed tonight's episode. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube. Be sure to check out our website. Follow us on Twitter. If you like this production, we're sure you'll enjoy the strange tales and high adventure of S&S Magazine, available on Amazon. Volume 2, Issue 2 is now funding on Indiegogo. Be sure to check us out and consider donating. Script by T.R. Alexander, Jack Thorne by Dan Buker, Veronica Phillips by Lauren Dorman, Howard Carter by Carson Spratt, Captain Orleans by Dave Kohlhoff, audio production, Dave Kohlhoff.